EFF.
Thank you, House Chair. The EFF is outraged by the state of public infrastructure in the city of Tshwane under 8 years of Democratic Alliance governance, which finally ended under serious brink. The DA's removal has revealed a neglected city plagued by abandoned buildings, sewage spillage, and rampant illegal dumping, which threatens the lives of Tshwane residents, especially the poor. Under the DA's leadership, Shuber Park and Kruger Park have deteriorated into drug dens and criminal havens, with no plan to convert them into low-cost housing or student accommodation, both of which are urgently needed in the city. Mamelodi Township became a garbage dump, while Soshanguve and Atteridgeville turned into zones of unresolved murders and violent crime. Amid this decay, the DA administration entered into a racist agreement with AfriForum, granting them access to critical municipal infrastructure without a democratic mandate. The DA enabled AfriForum to provide services exclusively in white areas, including grass cutting and racially segregated security, and empowered them to use force against land occupation protests. The EFF is pleased that this racist alliance has ended and urges the new coalition to repurpose Shuber Park and Kruger Park for housing and immediately revoke any agreements with AfriForum. The racist AfriForum and DA must take their racism away from Tshwane's governance. I thank you, Chair.
The IFP.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. The Inkatha Freedom Party notes with great concern the pervasive drinking culture in South Africa. South Africa's relationship with alcohol is widely recognized as problematic. The IFP believes that there has been a cultural shift from drinking alcohol as a recreational activity to functional drinking. This is evident in the popular names for drinking associated with each weekday. Alcohol is deeply ingrained in our sense of being, even featuring prominently at funerals, where after tears gatherings involve drinking to celebrate the life of a deceased loved one. Beneath this tradition lies a serious and troubling drinking problem in our country. What constitutes fun has been socially re-engineered to be incomplete without alcohol. The Enyobeni tragedy serves as a reminder that social influences often overshadows compliance, as even a 13-year-old had viewed alcohol as a primary requirement to having fun. The drinking culture is detrimental, as the consequences of alcohol misuse are extensive. It contributes to a rise in car accidents, resulting in injuries and fatalities, and exacerbates gender-based violence and crime. As the IFP, we believe that the issue must be addressed nationally. We should look at why the drinking habits.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Worse.
Unfortunately, your time has expired. The ANC.
Thank you, House Chair. As the ANC recognize, as members in uniform, the Army have a massive responsibility in safeguarding the lives of our people and protecting our borders. So it is very encouraging to also see the outreach projects in the community. Recently, in Kolosa's junior secondary school in Duchwa was chosen as a beneficiary of the South African Army annual community outreach program, because the Army wanted to make a meaningful and visible difference in vulnerable places. The refurbishment of the school is estimated to be more than 3 million, included renovated classrooms, a library, a kitchen, ablution facilities, and computer lab, improved accessibility features, and a repainting. The ANC believe that the investment made in the refurbishing the school was also an investment in the future of society. What is especially noteworthy is that whilst the Army had skills and competency, it could not work alone and had relied on individuals and business communities for sponsorship. We had given generously towards the cause, royalty and local government authorities, as the representatives of the people and landowners had been consulted. Such collaborative work must be commended, especially as the school has a rich history, and now with the refurbishment, we hope that it can restore to its former glory. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The DA.
Chair, we still have an unemployment insurance fund and a compensation fund under the umbrella of the Department of Employment and Labour that have failed South Africans in every single sphere. The Auditor General has condemned both these entities, and the public trying to access these entities have had no response whatsoever. Both these entities collect monies from the workers of South Africa and invest these monies on behalf of the workers into the Public Investment Corporation. However, many of these investments go into unlisted investment companies. In particular, the Compensation Fund has had disastrous investment results. In assessing a snapshot view as of March 24 of the investment, it shows that hundreds of millions of rands have given absolutely no return, and many of the investments have resulted in the capital being completely destroyed. A list of these denuded investments in the unlisted investees has been provided to the Portfolio Committee of Employment and Labour. The DA reacts with shock at this revelation. The Democratic Alliance calls upon the Labour Minister to assess the situation carefully so as to ensure that the workers of South Africa are able to recoup some of the monies that have been squandered. Furthermore, the Democratic Alliance calls upon the Labour Ministry to treat the workers' money with more respect and greater vigilance. Thank you.
Thank you. The PAC.
House Chair, may I just rise? I indicated that the PAC will not be making a statement, but the PA will be making a statement. Thank you. I indicated to the chair.
Okay, my apologies. Then there was some miscommunication that reached me. May I then now recognize the PA?
Thank you, House Chairperson. I'm improvising. South Africa has a revolving door when it comes to immigration. Illegal foreigners are deported today and back again tomorrow. Deported using our taxpayers' money, 20,000 of them deported at a cost of 52 million rand, or 100 Nigerians at a cost of 3 million rand. The same South African citizens who pay tax and VAT have to deal with the same spaza shops that sell expired food and food that they manufacture. Only when a child dies or a child falls ill do we act. And then we want to talk about bringing in different departments to deal with the issue. Why are the departments of Home Affairs, Health, Employment and Labour not monitoring these foreign-owned spaza shops regularly as they should? Last week we heard that foreign shops are part of the 30% who do not pay tax, and we have no way of tracing them. And to add insult to injury, South Africans have to wait for years to get assistance from Home Affairs for IDs and passports. Incorrect information that is printed. A female is listed as a male, or worse, a mother can't register a child because an illegal foreigner has stolen her identity. But yet we want to fast-track Zimbabwe exemption permits and also Ukrainian visas. When are we going to fast-track our own people? I thank you.
Thank you. The ANC.
Thank you, House Chair. The South Africa's inflation rate cooled to 3.8% in September from 4.4 in August. This is in line with expectations of economists polled by Bloomberg, and inflation is now below 4% for the first time in 3 years. It's also second consecutive month where inflation came in below 4.5%, the midpoint of the Reserve Bank's key target rate. Following September's cut, another reduction of 25 basis points is expected, which will reduce the prime rate to 7.75. Cheaper fuel also helped to cool inflation, with petrol and diesel prices lower to levels last seen in 2023. Oil has been under pressure amid concerns about demand in a weaker global economy. According to Stats SA, the decrease was mainly thanks to transport inflation that keeps decreasing, whilst food inflation remained unchanged. Prices increased on average by 0.1% between August and September 2024. Fuel prices decreased for a fourth successive month and are on average 9.0% lower than a year ago. Price increases for vehicles also slowed, and the annual rate was 3.6% in September 2024, down from
Thank
the
you,
high
Honourable
of
Member. Your time has now
8.4%
expired.
in September 2023.
The MK.
Honourable Speaker, the recent move to grant visa-free access for Ukrainian officials by the DA-led coalition with the ANC government is more than a policy shift. It's a betrayal of South Africa's long-standing principle of non-alignment and solidarity with the oppressed. As President Jacob Zuma said, South Africa's sovereignty cannot be compromised for the agendas of the West. And yet here we are, with the DA minister not only aligning us with NATO interests, but also flinging open our borders to dual passport holders from Israel, a nation we have taken to the International Court of Justice for violations of international law. The DA's alignment with NATO is glaring. Over 75% of DA representatives have publicly expressed support for Western positions on global conflicts, including in Ukraine, and voted in favor of pro-NATO policies. Meanwhile, the ANC under President Ramaphosa claims allegiance to BRICS, an alliance which together represents over 40% of the global population and is our largest trading partners. Contrast this with the DA leaders' condemnation of BRICS policies, despite the fact that BRICS countries, including Russia, which alone accounts for over $2 billion in annual trade with South Africa. This DA-ANC-led coalition government under the guise of unity is destabilizing South Africa's role in BRICS and betraying our partnerships with nations that stood beside us in our own liberation struggle. MK demands to know if the ANC now stands with the DA's Western-aligned foreign policy or with the BRICS alliance, which supports a peaceful multipolar world. The time has come to prioritize the true interests of our people, uphold our commitments to BRICS, and end this coalition that threatens the South African sovereignty. MK will not stand by as our foreign policy is auctioned off to the highest Western bidder. Waza uMkhonto.
The EFF.
Ngibonge Chair. Nilalele nithule ningangiphenduli. Njenge EFF sizwa okukhulu kumangala ukubona abantu bakithi eSouth Africa special abamnyama indlela abatrithwa ngayo kulelizwe abathelabo. Ngo-1996 kwavela uhlelo lwe-RDP lokwakhela abantu izindlu. Lezi zindlu abazakhayo one room, akunamgwaqo, akunama-toilet, akunagesi, akunamanzi. Okunye okwenziwa lohulumeni wegebengu. Nansi into abayenzayo. If kuzokwakhiwa indlu, abakwazi ukuthi bathumele osurveyor first. Bayobheka ukuthi kufanele yini leyo ndlu yakhiwe lapho na. Okunye futhi abakwenzile. Mangabe siqalwa indlu kwakhiwa, akukho lapho bathumela khona ama-inspector to make sure ukuthi le ndlu lana ezokwakhiwa khona awekho amanzi ngaphansi, alikho yini itshe idwala elingabhazamisa le ndlu na. Kwabe sekuthenjiswa abantu ukuthi ke manje ngoba imndeni yanda izindlu lezi zizobhidlizwa iqale kwabusha kodwa kaze kwenziwe.
Honourable Member.
Mana kancane. And okunye abakwenza.
Honourable Member, no, your time has expired.
Akakwazi ngisho umuntu ukudlula la baxabana day.
Honourable Mama Kaula.
Bandululo lokuthi niqhathe abantu ngezindlu.
Honourable Member.
Seyihlangane ne-GNU amasela lawa.
Thank you. The ANC.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The African National Congress commends UNISA for achieving an unqualified audit opinion for 2022-23. This marks yet another milestone for the institution, which plays a critical role in shaping the intellectual futures of so many students across our country, the continent and beyond. We can say with pride that UNISA is living up to its vision of being Africa's leading open distance learning institution geared towards reclaiming Africa's intellectual futures. UNISA, under the leadership of Professor Puleng Lenkabula as Vice-Chancellor and Principal, together with President Thabo Mbeki as the Chancellor, has done very well by consolidating sound financial management. Under the stewardship of the Vice-Chancellor, UNISA has managed to increase its investments to 16 billion rand over a period of 4 years. Prof. Lenkabula has catapulted the university onto the global stage by collaborating with multi-tier higher education institutions. The university is the single largest academic institution in South Africa, serving over 380,000 students. It has pioneered the implementation and optimization of 10 catalytic niche areas that are a significant investment in the future prosperity and inclusive growth in South Africa and our continent. The ANC also commends the university's investment in the recently launched experimental farm, which focuses on becoming a center for teaching, research and community involvement. We also
Honourable Member, your time has unfortunately
expired. And I want to conclude by saying, Bona, basebenzile, uThabo Mbeki no Vice-Chancellor, basebenzile.
The DA.
Thanks, Chair. Public participation is for measuring the impact that it has on society, but the city has ultimately decided on the renaming. Public participation is a mandatory process, but it would have been a decision that has already been taken. Those are the words of the once former Mayor of Johannesburg, Councillor Kabela Gwamanda, who was asked to resign due to a lack of confidence, and who was recently appointed as the MMC for Community Development, and was subsequently arrested for fraud. With just 2 hours to the deadline for renaming Santon Drive, a proposal that has faced widespread criticism from the public, and after DA councillors facilitated over 5,500 objections to the planned renaming, Gwamanda announced a city-funded event to meet with only one interested party. He claimed to have gathered 100,000 submissions in support of the renaming, despite many being identical, unsigned, unauthored, and lacking key details for proper verification. Public participation is a cornerstone of our Constitution. It is outrageous that certain politicians believe that people have no say in how they are governed and think that they can act without a clear mandate. An independent audit is needed on the renaming process of Santon Drive, which is clearly compromised by an individual already accused of defrauding the people of Johannesburg. The DA will submit this issue to government bodies for investigation. Thank you.
Thank you. The ANC.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. As the ANC, we welcome South Africans' filing of the memorial documents at the International Court of Justice to present what we all know is the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. Just over a year ago, the apartheid Israeli regime unleashed a vicious and new and updated ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza. The latest death toll as of today stands at 43,686 people, the majority of whom are women and children. The true death toll, Chairperson, is probably much higher, and hundreds of thousands of people are injured and displaced. We call for the immediate ceasefire. We call for a complete opening of the humanitarian aid, and of course, most importantly, an end to the genocide and to the illegal occupation of Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Good. I suspect there's no representation from Good for member statement. Honourable members, that will then conclude member statements. Are there any ministerial responses? Let me firstly go. Minister Mantashe, Minister Steenhuisen, Minister Schreiber, and then I'll take another round.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, members. I just want to object to one thing. Identity crisis can lead to depression. At this point, MKP is either a bird or a mouse, then it becomes a pet. You see, asinonyane, asitweba, kimankhane. But it projects itself as a continuation of the ANC legacy. That's why it goes Tambo. As the ANC, we still remain committed to mobilization of all strata and classes in society. Yeah, a confused MKP must develop its identity and refine it. Fortunately, we know the difference and the distinction between a revolutionary and a criminal, a vigilante, or an enemy agent. We know the difference.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair.
Yeah, I see no hand. Honourable members, if you do wish to be recognised, please raise your hand. Honourable member, why are you rising? Honourable Minister, my apologies. Will you take your seat for a moment?
I'm rising to check if it's parliamentary for this member make an allegation on a criminal when the person was talking.
No, honourable member, I didn't understand it that way. I will check the Hansard and come back. Honourable Minister, please continue.
Unfortunately, I'm not insulting anybody. I'm quoting the same Oliver Tambo that MKP quoted. But because they don't know Oliver Tambo, they can't identify with that quotation. They see it as an insult. My last point, Honourable Chair, is the fact that lega yokufaka ANC kumcimbi wase-Ukraine liphawu nje lokuyikabelungu. Noyikabelungu nibazimelisa ngathi. Phumani kuloo nto, siyanicela.
Thank you. The next Minister recognised is the Honourable Steenhuisen.
Thank you very much, House Chair. I thought it proper for me to respond to the Honourable Tambo from the EFF, because next week he may not be in that party and may have joined the exodus of the rest of the EFF into the uMkhonto weSizwe party. But let me just say this, that I'm not surprised that the Honourable Tambo and the EFF don't like public-private partnerships. I'm not surprised they don't like communities standing up and doing things for themselves, because their philosophy as a political party is that the big clunking fist of state must do everything for everybody, and unless you rise collectively, none shall rise at all. Communities are joining hands, cleaning their neighbourhoods, and
Order,
making sure
honourable members.
that things work. And the EFF hate it, because they hate to see people doing things for themselves. They hate to see people part of their own.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat for a moment. Honourable Minister. Honourable Mente, why are you rising?
Thank you, House Chair. We have raised this matter with you, that once the ministers start waffling, you must stop them. And you continue people to be incompetent on the floor. Can they answer the matters that are raised pertaining to service delivery that are affecting children and women of this country?
Thank you, Honourable Mente. I have your point of order. The Minister may respond as he wishes. I'm not going to prescribe to him as...
Thank you very much. They hate to see people doing things for themselves, and they would rather see people languishing in terrible neighbourhoods with terrible service delivery than us bringing people together to join together. I then want to respond to the member from MK about the Ukraine. And I agree with the Honourable Mantashe. Clearly you're learning your history from the wrong places. Don't believe everything that Ubaba Kadudazane tells you. The real uMkhonto weSizwe, you would know Joe Medise took them for training in Odessa which is in the Ukraine. So please go and understand your history before you come here and pretend to be uMkhonto weSizwe when you know nothing about the real uMkhonto weSizwe and its contribution in the country. Thank you.
The next in line is Minister Schreiber.
Thank you very much. Let me add to that very salient point from Minister Steenhuisen that as much as a third of the freedom fighters who were trained in the Soviet Union was in Ukraine. And then there's the suggestion that, no, South Africa must pick a side. We must not be non-aligned. It's clear that what comes out of today's member statement is the political illiteracy of the MK party. Have you ever heard of non-alignment? That is exactly what's happening. I salute our negotiators who have worked on this visa waiver issue, and we will implement the policy of this government. Let me also then say, there's this issue of conflating people who break the law, foreign nationals who come into our country, versus those who want to contribute to this country legally through tourism, through investment, and through skills. Chair, we must know that we are able to chew and walk at the same time. We will differentiate between people who break the law and those who can help us achieve the apex priority of the Government of National Unity, which is to grow the economy and create jobs. That is why we are implementing the measures we're doing at Home Affairs. We are revolutionizing this economy, and no one will deter us. On the other side of this issue, there are some members of this House who have recently suggested that Home Affairs must stop deporting people who violate South Africa's immigration laws. Can you imagine what will happen to this country if we send a signal and say, no, it's fine, you can violate the law as long as it's immigration law, and we'll stop deportations? We will experience a collapse. Let me tell the EFF directly today, we will not be deterred from enforcing the rule of law. We will intensify it, and we will deport those who violate South African law. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The last four members to be recognized is Ministers Chikunga and Creasy and Deputy Ministers Nel and Manamela. Okay, yeah, I'll revisit the order. I think Ministers gets preference. Minister Toloshe, I'll recognize you. Minister Chikunga, please proceed.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Chairperson. We agree with the Honourable Member of the IFP on the issue regarding the abuse of alcohol, which we believe it is a problem. It is responsible for many social ills, including parents giving birth to children with fetal alcohol syndrome, children growing up without proper socialization, alcohol abuse being associated with gender-based violence and femicide. It is also true, research is proving that. People being killed on the roads due to drunken driving, and therefore the list is endless. The consequences of abuse of alcohol are dire. Indeed, as public representatives, religious leadership, traditional leadership, civil society, private sector, and every one of us have a role to ensure that we discourage the abuse of alcohol. And of course, we run campaigns in our churches and everywhere we go in order to remember that every social drinker, in fact, every alcoholic was once a social drinker, and therefore we don't take things for granted. It is a problem in our country. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Minister Creasy.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chair. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member of the ANC for highlighting the arrest and court appearance of the former Transnet Group Capital CEO, because I want to emphasize that corruption is never a victimless crime. Working people and those living under conditions of poverty are most affected when entities such as Transnet and PRASA fail to provide safe, affordable and effective public transport for people and goods because public money has been lost to corrupt practices. Commuters who can no longer use the rail system pay excessive amounts for public transport, and miners in the iron ore, coal and manganese industries are losing their jobs because we are not able to take goods to market on time. We look forward to the wheels of justice turning swiftly in this important matter. I thank you.
Thank you. Minister Tolashe.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson of the House. Good afternoon to you and honorable members. Just in addition to what Honorable Chikungu has just alluded to, as if the member knew this morning the Cabinet was dealing with the matter and we are on top of it to make sure that South Africans, as we are going through very serious social ills, majority of time informed by the abuse of alcohol and drugs, this is going to come to Parliament for the Parliament's consideration very soon. We are taking this matter very seriously. We thank the member that raised the question. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Deputy Minister now.
Chairperson, thank you very, very much. I wish to thank the Honourable Matafa and the Honourable Fasia Hassan for their statements. First of all, yes, we acknowledge the very, very good work being done by the Special Investigating Unit under the leadership of Advocate Andy Motibe. They're working overtime to ensure that we eradicate all forms of fraud, corruption, and state capture. Since the start of the 7th administration, the Department of Justice has forwarded 41 SIU proclamations to the President for consideration. 20 of those have been approved and published, 13 have been approved and are awaiting publication, and 8 are being considered. It's a clear indication that we are serious about eliminating corruption, bringing those responsible to account, and recovering the people's money from those who have stolen it. Secondly, Honourable Member Hassan, yes, the South African government has filed its memorial with the International Court of Justice. We will be continuing with that case and intensifying our actions in solidarity with the people of Palestine. Furthermore, we are also doing work on the front of the International Criminal Court to bring those responsible for genocide to account. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members, that concludes the 7 opportunities for ministerial responses. My apologies to Honourable Manamela, who was always also willing to respond.
If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. And as always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.